Fred Mangol, Captain, U.S. Navy, retired. And when the Cavalier and the Bayfield switched home ports, I switched over to the Bayfield. And a few of us were allowed to switch ships, and I was allowed to switch to the Bayfield, stay in Long Beach. The Bayfield was all, in the United States. I didn't go overseas with the Bayfield. My very next ship then was San Diego. So no sooner do I go down to San Diego to join the Parsons, then 3 months later we go back to Long Beach for the shipyard, and I have to leave my wife and family in San Diego while we do a 6-month period. If I'd have known that, we would have never moved to San Diego. We would have stayed in Long Beach, right? But I didn't know that. From there, I decided that I would like to extend. I was still a reserve officer at that time. So I decided I would like to do a tour of destroyers. So I went to the USS Parsons, which was a brand new destroyer, and it was a wonderful experience. Being a new destroyer, it was just chock full of talent. My goodness. We had 6 officers who were qualified as ASW officers. We had 5 officers who were qualified as CIC officers. I think we had 8 officers who were qualified as OODs underway. We had 5 or 6 officers who were qualified as command duty officers. So it was just a joy to serve in that ship with all these qualified officers. And while I started off as the first lieutenant in that ship, within a year I was the weapons officer as a department head. And we did very well. Wonderful, just wonderful. I mean, and the talent on that destroyer was just great. I mean, yeah, like going from the 3rd team to the 1st team, I mean, it was just wonderful. God, I mean, the officers were just so talented, and the petty officers were largely talented. It was just wonderful, I said, boy, this is the real Navy, destroyers are destroyers, so, we had ASW, anti-air warfare, anti-ship warfare, you name it, we had them all, And I started off as first lieutenant, which means I ran all the deck operations, and then I became the weapons officer. And it was fun, because I decided to try and qualify. They had a new program where you could qualify for command of destroyers. And so, one thing that I was good at was ship handling. And so, I asked the captain, he said, yeah, if there's anybody aboard that can handle this ship, you can. We had gone through refresher training before we went to the Far East, and I was the only officer on board that got 100% in any of the officers in refresher training. Yeah. And so, and it was for ship handling and running the bridge and all of that. So he said, yeah, he said, you'll probably do well. So I got to, and we had a Commodore that was really, I don't want to get into that, but I mean, he was a trial. And in fact, my first, 2 out of the 3 first ships had real questionable, old crusty Commodores, that were a real trial, okay? And this guy was a real trial, and he was really demanding when it came to ship handling. But I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it, I could handle the ship better than he could, so it was fun. I love ship handling. Gosh, when I had we deployed to the Far East, and while I was there, I qualified for command of destroyers and made lieutenant.